I think we're ready to go ahead and get started. Welcome to constellation number 20. My name is Jessica. This is Jooyoung. And we could not do this without our board member, Armin Tolentino, who could not be here tonight, but he's a super important part of Constellation. I know. Everybody's like, oh, Armin's not here. I know. Our intro tonight's going to be a little different. As you all know, Constellation meets in a regular structure. Actually, you may not know this. For how many of you is this the first Constellation? Yay. A lot of you. Oh my goodness! Welcome. Okay, so we meet here generally on the second Thursday of every month, except July and December. You may be here because you know one of us or the readers, and that's an awesome reason to come. But you are absolutely invited back. We hope that if you come once, you come again. And given the regular structure of Constellation, we are often we find ourselves in a position to, in our introduction, be responsive to events that are happening in the world. And this time is no different. We hope that this continues to be a space to attune to each other and to things that are happening, and to be present and to continue to listen and to take good care of each other. That has been something really valuable in what we do here, and we hope that continues. Jooyoung and I have teaching and organizing experience. It's one of the things that brought us together, and we maybe some of that will be showing up in this space in the future months, but for now, we want to affirm our commitment to collective care and presence.
Hey.
We are, of course, still meeting during a genocide in Palestine and Sudan and Congo. And we are still on unceded native land. And we still understand oppressions as intertwined. We still believe that no one is free until all are free. And we hope that as we continue together, our solidarity continues to evolve along with the moment and the times. And Constellation is you. It's all of you in this room. More of you tonight than ever before. So we thank you for being here. We thank our hosts, Melissa Bishop and Wild, Lance at Tin House, who we saw briefly. And once again, we thank you. And thank you for honoring our mask policy, which is to wear them down here. Upstairs is mask optional. There's food and a variety of beverages. And we'll gather there after the reading if you're up for that. Jooyoung has a special introduction to this event, and I'm going to turn it over to Jooyoung at this time.
Whoa. There are a lot of people here, which is so awesome and also a little intimidating because I do not love to read aloud. I love to listen to other people reading. But I prepared something tonight because probably like many of you, this last couple of weeks, this last year, this lifetime has been difficult. And so tonight feels really, really special to me as a Korean adoptee, as someone in the Korean diaspora. So I wanted to take a little bit of our time to set up the theme. And it feels timely given what's happening in the world. The word diaspora comes from the Greek for scattering seeds, describes a people who have experienced a mass displacement and have been dispersed like seeds to many destinations. A diaspora is connected by shared identity, a connection to an ancestral homeland, and a solidarity with other dispersed members. Koreans share a recent history of colonization, of war, of displacement, and immigration. And these hardships are part of what bonds us as a diaspora, as well as our resilience to get through and to be here together with our friends and allies. I've been thinking a lot about Korean history as connected to the genocide of Palestinians. And of course, with this election, I've been thinking a lot, and Jessica just mentioned this, about how we are all interconnected and how we deeply affect each other's ability to be free or not free. I am a Korean adoptee. As a baby, I lost my entire family. My mother, father, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, siblings. And then I was trafficked overseas to a white Christian evangelical family in the Midwest who didn't even eat Asian food. It has taken me decades to learn about my own history, that my life grew from the ruins of a Japanese and US imperialist and colonialist brutality. I hadn't learned this history in school, nor did I have a Korean family to pass down stories of what my ancestors endured or of my very own immigration story. I hadn't known that Japanese colonized Korea for over a generation, nor had I known this was part of a larger US imperial project for a political and economic foothold in Asia. We know about that pattern of the United States. The Taft-Katsura Agreement of 1905 allowed Japan to annex Korea in exchange for Japan's compliance with the US occupation of the Philippines. From 1910 until the end of World War II, Imperial Japan tried to eliminate my people through violence and cultural genocide. They dismantled the Korean army, instituted a colonial government, forbade the Korean language, made Koreans take on Japanese names, learn Japanese history, while destroying Korean historical documents, artifacts, and evidence of our existence. They imprisoned us, conscripted us to manual and slave labor. Hundreds of thousands of Japanese settlers moved to Korea and took over our homes, our farms, our businesses, our institutions, and our land. In the process, they destroyed the natural landscape and implanted non-native species, trying to transform the land into Japan. It is easy for me and other Koreans to empathize with Palestinians. Images of Gaza mirror images I've seen of Japanese occupation and the massacres from the Korean War. Bodies wrapped in shrouds, mass graves, cities flattened to rubble. I've studied photos of tens of thousands of displaced Koreans fleeing on foot, carrying everything they can. I've seen photos of crowded tent cities made of leftover military tents and huts made of flattened tin cans. I don't know much about my Korean family, and I turn to my imagination to connect with them and my ancestors. I imagine my mother in post-Korean War poverty, and I imagine my mother's mother, during the Japanese occupation. Sometimes I imagine the first 2 months of my life with my birth mother, or that my halmoni is still alive. One of the jobs of imagination is to empathize with others, to bridge the gap between our own experiences and theirs, to step into someone else's world, their emotions, joys, and struggles. It is an art to create a mental picture of another life. As I'm sure everyone in this space tonight knows, our imaginations and what we create with them are powerful and so essential. We need them for what we're up against now. Tonight, we will imagine the worlds of these Korean American writers. They are seeds in the Korean diaspora. We here collectively are the seeds for future liberation. From the river to the sea, from the rind to the seed. Here's to a free Palestine. Free Palestine! Here's to resistance and resilience and love. Here's to imagination and community and building together. And here's to keeping each other safe. It is my great honor to introduce our first reader, my chosen sister, my important family, my Korean sister, Miro Jooyoung. A quick content warning. Miro will share a piece that includes sexual and physical violence. Her piece will also have some sensory components with sound and light. If you need a break, the upstairs space is open. Go and have some water. If you need extra support and help, grab me or Jessica. We're more than happy to sit with you and breathe with you or just like sit next to you. Miro Jooyoung, she, they, Korean diaspora, queer, designer, facilitator, process work therapist, writer and dancer, healer and friend and family to so many, auntie to so many. As an avid reader and writer in Korean and English, Miro explores healing history, diaspora identity, racism and sexism in the liminal space. She is a co-founder of Studio Yellow, a social design consulting group that challenges systemic injustice by taking action rooted in revolutionary love and racial justice and equity frameworks. Studio Yellow is super cool, you guys. She dances with and hosts workshops with liminal bodies, a Pacific Northwest-based queer and trans Asian and Pacific Islander writing group focusing on movement as a process for deepening our writing practices. She is the founder of the AAPI and BIPOC-focused therapy practice, Mugwort Counseling. Please help me welcome my dear sister.
All right, can you hear me okay? Where's my writing? Oh, that's your copy. Oh, there, okay. Found it.
Do you want us to move the microphone stand?
I can hold it. Okay. Is that okay? I'll just keep it close so you can hear me. This is Angeli, my friend, doing the drum, and Susan helping with the writing. And thank you, Seung. All right, for the room. Take my glasses to read. So, what is your worst fear? The college intern she met at the company picnic casually asks an icebreaker question with a smile. About 20 people are chatting and sharing snacks at Laurelhurst Park. She's not good at casual conversation. I should have stayed home and finished the K-drama series, she sighs quietly. She takes a sip out of her lukewarm can of flavored sparkling water. I guess height, like a new roller coaster for me since I was little. How about you? She has always been afraid of height, just like her mom. But really, what comes to her mind is the room that keeps showing up in her dreams. The room is in the corner of a dark basement, sometimes with a door, sometimes without. She knows that the room has a dead body in it. The body belongs to someone she had murdered. Her mom tries to help her hide it over and over again. Shh, 성희야 빨리 와, 숨겨야 돼. Her dream has always been a jumble of English and Korean. In a somatic therapy session, she realizes that the body belongs to her dad, who has always been critical of her mom. Her dad cheated on her mom for years and never ceased to be critical of her in the meantime. As an empathetic second daughter, she grew up feeling her mom's disgrace and rage, no matter how loving he was towards her. So, she kills her dad and hides his body with the help of her mom. He is the enemy, the patriarchy, the inner critic that shames her and her body. You should do better, do more, and stay slim. Once she realizes this, her dream of the room stops coming. Her right shoulder has been less tight since then, as if his talon on her loosened its grip. I am healed, she leaves her therapist. A few years pass. Not so fast. The room is showing up in her dreams again. She's afraid of the room. She doesn't want to go in. This time, she's stuck in a tiny hallway, and the door to the basement room keeps opening up as if it is trying to suck her in, and she's desperately trying to get out. She doesn't want to go in there. Get me out of here, she screams, but no sound comes out of her mouth. Sometimes her sister opens the door for her and pulls her out, as she had done many times as a kid when she was stuck helplessly listening to her parents fight. What is in the room? She needs desperately to see because she is terrified. She can't live in this fear anymore. She counts to 3, just like when she was about to dive into a cold body of water, and opens the door. Its cool, wet air and stale smell coat her lungs and skin. As soon as she takes a step, she tumbles down. No ground meets her feet. Her stomach lifts. She keeps falling and falling for so long, for days and years. When she finally lands on cold soil, she hears the sound of a stream. It's dark and smells like wet rocks. She hears the echo of the villagers' whispers in what sounds like a Jeju dialect, trying to soothe a hungry baby and keep her from crying out loud. They are hiding in the cave of the Hala mountain range of Jeju Island. It is 1952, the year when her dad was only 7, and his tiny heart broke when he lost his mom during childbirth. The year that her maternal grandmother gave birth to yet another baby girl and wept. She needs a son to stay safe in this family. The villagers are hiding away from the soldiers. They'll be shot if they are found. She smells their fear and hunger. The baby starts whimpering, and she's afraid that they might cover her face up and suffocate the baby. She feels her stomach twist. She gets up, trying to move toward the baby to help, and falls again. She lands inside the dark twin bridge tunnel of Nogunni in 1950. The year her mom was born, the first of the 5 girls in a row. She feels the weight of bodies that are pressing her down. The overwhelming sound of cicadas covers her painful moaning. Bodies that once belonged to the villagers shot by the US military over 3 days. Their sticky blood covers her shoulders and hair and hardens every second. Flies nest in the bodies and try to get inside her feverish, dry mouth. She can't breathe. She jumps when she hears the moan of a little girl whose eyes has popped out and is dangling from being shot in the head. It is frightening that the girl is alive. She wants to end her pain, just like how her friend stepped on the little bee that was half crushed but still moving. She doesn't know how, but she's determined. She tries to reach her, but her body is stuck. All she can do is put her hand towards her bloody face hole and hum a lullaby to her, as her mom has done for her as a kid. before she finishes the song, she's in the air again. She lands in a small concrete building in rural Myanmar, a so-called comfort woman's room in 1945. It is the year her dad and many other 해방둥이 liberation babies free from the Japanese occupation were born, and his mom felt a significant relief. She had 5 girls before him. Her mother-in-law pressured her for a son every day, and she prayed to the thompson 할머니 with a bowl of morning dews for this moment. It was the year the Japanese retreated after destroying their so-called army supplies, meaning killing the sex slaves. It is the year her mother's mother was only 15 years old and had to get married quickly to avoid being taken away by the soldiers. In the chilly room, a young soldier in his earth-tone uniform jacket with the red stripes on the shoulder hungrily presses into her body, taking his comfort from her. As she turns her face away from his hot breath, she sees a bucket of water soaking several yellowish rubber sacks containing white goo. She cringes and tries to push the soldier away from her, but nothing moves. She has felt this hopelessness and shame of not being able to protect herself before. She tries to remember to breathe slowly. This is a dream. This is a dream. I was in the room. As soon as she remembers this, her body's free and again in the air, falling deeper. It is her maternal grandmother's room in 2003. Over the years, after a few at-home abortions, she eventually gave birth to a baby boy and completed her duty to the family. All 7 children are married and have their children. She's in her 70s in a tiny studio apartment with black mold creeping out of old wallpaper. A few years ago, her husband filed for bankruptcy without her knowledge. She has never confronted him, no matter what, even when he didn't come home for weeks. She is sitting at the kitchen table and about to swallow the pesticide that she bought from a farm store many months ago. She had endured enough pain, the farm labor that broke her back, the shame of being a survivor, and the anger and resentment towards her husband. She had experienced the full life, the joy of feeding her babies and watching them grow, the relief she felt when the Japanese surrendered and left, and the ecstasy of receiving the first letter from her friend who moved to Germany to work as a nurse. She's ready for Jooyoung, and she finally feels at peace. 할머니 잠깐만. She tries to touch her, but her body is frozen. A new voice comes out. Grandpa is asleep inches away from her and smells like soju. She knows Grandma succeeds at this. She knows this will fuck up her mom for years. She lets out a cry and she's in the air again. She lands in her mom's bedroom in Seoul in 2024. It's 3 a.m. and her mom's wide awake. She can't stand the fact that her daughter is homosexual. It's disgusting. Her mom turns the light on and reaches for her worn-out Bible. She'll continue her daily practice. It'll keep her safe and keep her children safe. Today is her mom's Memorial Day. 엄마, what have I done with her? Mom murmurs. Earlier that day, she sent a threatening message to her daughter. 나 살기 싫다. 내가 널 잘못 키웠어. 사람들이 손가락질해. She and her mom haven't spoken for years now. She wants her mom to hear her. Mom, it's me. 보고 싶었어요. Her voice doesn't reach her mom, and she's in the air again. It is 1988, and the elementary school is filled with a festive mood, preparing for the 88 Seoul Olympics. She sees a familiar-looking girl in 6th grade in her classroom. She's a second daughter like her, and her mom gave her the nickname Durle, which means go around. Go around another daughter and give me a son. She's so painfully shy. She's embarrassed of her body being a body. She can't blow her nose or tell her teacher she needs to go to the bathroom. She quietly wipes her nose on her wet sleeve. She whispers to the little girl, "Why are you so ashamed of your body?" "I don't know," the girl replies. "Hey, that is not your shame." Her voice echoes back. "Hey, that is not your shame." She needed to hear this. It's not hers, her mom's, or her grandma's. She realizes the girl is a young version of herself. She hears faint knocks, or is it her heartbeat? She's being pulled back up. She rises up high, and so many hands pull her up and up and up. Her beloved cats, chanterelles and porcinis of the northwest forest, porpoises and seals, and warm water surround her body gently and place her on the shore. She is being pulled out of the piles of bodies, and her body follows without resistance. The twin bridge tunnel breaks open and is filled up with light. The comfort station's gray walls melt into the ground. The caves are gone. Her grandmother is pulling her mom's hand, and her mom is pulling her up. She's floating above the tree lines with them. The little girl from the twin bridge tunnel is holding her hand. No missing eye, no hollow chest. She reaches for their hands, and they make a circle together like a 강강술래. She notices the familiar scent of fennels and mugwort in her home garden. She's lying on her back in the bushes, which she calls the cat photo. She feels her cat chewing on her hair, his signature move. "I love you too," she whispers. The cat spent most of his outdoor time resting in that spot when he was alive. 108 falls later, she's back. She can hear the group chatting and feel the autumn sun and refreshing crisp air. The intern just finished describing their fear of spiders and height. "Yeah, I used to feel afraid of heights, but not anymore. Do you know why?" She smiles at the intern. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I have to say, it's funny to have broken leg from bowling after writing about bowling for 2 months. Thank you.
Wow. Let's hear it again for Jooyoung. I'm sorry. I'm gonna start again. I'm so excited to introduce David Seung. Yes. So Junae and I often have like convergences of planning of who we want to invite. And this was definitely a case of that. For different reasons. I thought I had heard of David through poetry reasons, and Junae was like, and also stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
David is a second-generation Korean-American substitute teacher, stand-up comedian, adjunct professor, founder and sole employee of Side Dish Mafia Food Tours, yes, and author of Silkworm's Pansori, a full-length engagement with and appropriation of the traditional Korean Sijo form of poetry, releasing May 2025. So not yet, but we're so excited. Through the Song Cave. And he has 2 cats and every Pokemon. Please welcome David.
Actually, I was asked earlier if I was going to be funny, and I'm off the clock, so no. We're gonna just keep you down. All right. Ghost poetry is kind of a bummer. Did you know that? Yeah. We're not going for it. No, I only do comedy for money. I do a lot of things for money because I went to school for poetry, which is. Did you know there's only one job that requires a degree in poetry? Does anyone know what that is?
No.
It's teaching poetry. AKA pyramid scheme indoctrination. It's really sad. Not a lot of pride in that. And also, I was introduced as an adjunct. Portland State just slashed their budget by $18 million. And to make that up, they cut $17 million of classes. And you know when you're in PE and they're picking people for the team, and you know it's not looking good for you. They cut me before sewing. They have sewing still. Anyways, you don't go to college to sew. You go home. It's a WikiHow. It's a YouTube. Anyway, always full of rage. Who's Korean here?
Hey!
The whole Korean population of Portland, Oregon is here tonight. It's very exciting. Yeah. My father is an immigrant, quasi-legal immigrant. Great time for that. Great era. And because of that, I think all Korean people, to some extent, are victims of patriarchy, are victims of Korean conservative paradigms of masculinity, and that's something I think that is inherited. I have some poems from this, and I have some on my phone because I'm 27. I don't know anyone who owns a printer. Some of these are more prosaic, and some are in the shujo form, which is very short. So some of them are going to be very short. So just be ready for that. But first, this is kind of a prose poem for context. I only know these stories as they were given to me. I stem from a line of rebels. Before the war portioned the peninsula, my father's father lived in a village in the north, near the Chinese border. Japan tortured him as a child because our family refused to change our name to Masuda. He would show us his right ring finger, which Japan had gripped and wrung broken. His older brother protested. Furious, Japan jailed him for years, jail and torture. Their grandfather financed the resistance, helped rebels escape. Japan took his son, my father's father's father, and tortured him for information, but he told them nothing. Japan disappeared his older brother, shot and killed his younger brother in front of him, beat him to near death, but he told them nothing. Japan left my father's father's father on the street to die. He said he kept thinking, I need to get back to my family, as he slug-footed through the night, punched drunk and bloody, a legacy of silence. My family calls me his reincarnation. I have my father's Korean name, his father's English name, his father's face, sometimes more, sometimes not enough. My family made sacrifices to get here, then made sacrifices here. When I was 17, I sacrificed everything I could to try and save someone else, and when I failed and she was gone, I blamed provisional impotence. To be a man, my father tells me, is to give. When the mountain gulps the train, the window becomes an answer, and irony suddenly vanishes. I remember that I'm always angry, wigless. Our family's name, the one we clung to, means inheritance. Anyways. They're gonna get a lot shorter. All right. Is anyone familiar with the Jooyoung form? Japan has haiku. Everyone knows haiku. Jooyoung is also pretty short. It's 3 couplets, generally 3 couplets or 3 lines in 2 parts. And there's a introduction, a theme, development, and a twist. They always have twists. So in a lot of ways, they're very similar to writing jokes. These aren't funny. If you laugh at these are very traumatic. So I'm gonna cry. Anyways, they're not all sad. This one is called Plates of Fruit, Cut and Peeled. Persimmons on a leafless tree, unlaid eggs in a butchered hen. The old woman picks from the sagging branch, the grandson skips a stone. It rejects the pond 3 times, as if it belonged on that far shore. New American hatreds replaced his missing teeth. He can't tell me how they hurt him, eyes like a market fish, but he felt so ugly. To save us from his hate, he married a white woman, circumcised our tongues. Sorry if that's relatable. DMZ fable. Bear diffuses her last garlic. God splays her with the cheek of his knife, peels her by the snout, plucks her claws, sculpts a woman out of hunger, permits the last Korean tiger pawing at a landmine. This one's about death, but I think it's kind of nice. Event horizon. Petals elope with spring breeze. Eternity like coffin wood, mulch. Above and below, brief dreams. The earth freckles so much space. My hairs might take turns jumping, or fall all at once like ginkgo leaves. We're knocking these out so quick. How much time I got, Jenna?
Oh, I don't know. Just
Oh,
keep going. You're
perfect. I go
good.
through my
You're
list.
good.
Yeah. This is a bluff. It's all on my phone. Anyways, this one. A lot of these, it's kind of pretentious. A lot of these are shijo, but they're cheeky. They have footnotes, and the footnotes keep going. It's because sometimes you gotta keep yapping, and Korean people have a habit of not saying what they're supposed to. And so this one's about the inherited failures of communication that stem from high context culture. So for reference, it's probably in here actually. This is a shijo, and then there's a really long footnote. Okay. Crockpot Requiem. I learned it from my father. The prod, the third offer, a deaf outpouring. Have you had enough to eat? Tongue limping after hands, raking lies with a slotted spoon. The apology, even. What I'm trying to say is, while we're both here, the moon's black in remission, the wicks of my fingers burnt to the first joint, steam still crouching under rice. I want to push apart jaws of dusk and crepuscular dawn, fall through night's maw, deep gullet with you, for you. I want to be steam in the gut, a gizzard stone, the ghost of heat that coats your mouth, your throat, your chest, your brain. I want to be swallowed whole. I want to be swallowed in parts, each called like disciples to a fork. My fibers braised in salt, acid heat, the gentle blood of carrot leached sweetness. I want to be so tender and easily pierced. I want to fall apart with you, for you, on you. I want to be September to a bear. I want to let you steal, desperately, naturally, from me, and be so honest in your leaving. This one I actually don't like that much. Let's skip it. This is called Waste. Flames lap trash from the can. A man sips the fire. If meaninglessness exists, then it too burns. How much of the moon must I drink to siphon sunlight? Share with me before the flood. And then this gets a little too cheeky. This is three shijo, but then the titles just keep this is the absolute lot. There's no footnote, but should have done that. It's called "This Isn't What I'm Supposed to Say." In an octopus's garden, Hope and I part amicably. A band-aid left alone learns to trust. Damp skin gasping. What persists? The body I steward. A ledger of inheritance, desire. Noble eightfold desire. Desire who fruits on the nude branch, desire in her aggressive orbit, desire in the shape of a wound, keloid desire in her own shape, blooming. Limpet desire, poxing black rock, desire like tide, like moon, like collateral sand. Desire the orphan mother scatters her young, having saved nothing, taught nothing. Desire begets desire. I am a man when I'm asked to be. You holding yourself with my arms, you wanting me. And what is desire but a void? And what is a void but a moist grain? And what is hope but an elm's shade in winter? You're clapping like I'm dumb. I almost, I promise. Almost.
We clap every time.
Thank you. That doesn't happen in comedy, by the way. This one's a little bit longer. It's not long. Honestly, nothing's long. This is called "I Was Late to a U.S. History Exam Because of a Body on the Tracks." This is a story about a time I was going to school on the Max, and you can infer. Cliched American Jetson, alone in everyone's way. We ate your death, carp-lipped and dumb. We were angry with you. We were angry with you. We were pruning bonsai before and soon after. I'm sorry, I think I'm always angry. When I stopped laughing, I assumed they pinch you like dog shit, hosed off your stain. At that age, we palmed Sunday the tracks with pennies, erased Abraham, traded blank burdock rounds for gum. I saw a splayed rat, crows playing chicken. I drew you only as a mess. I assumed the sun peeled your soul like a puddle. I'm sorry. I think I'm always sorry. Coy-lipped and sprinting. And do last one. Actually, no, forgot to do the first one. Oh, sorry. No, I did it. Okay. And last one I'll do is a short one again. You're welcome. This is called Star and Comet. Most of these I've been holding back. The majority of these ones, these footnotes, are just about invertebrate facts. There's a lot of bug facts in here, some fish facts. This is starfish. So it's called Star and Comet. And let's see if we can find it here, this much bigger footnote. So, is anyone familiar with sea stars? No. While most sea stars require an intact central disc along with the mouth and digestive capacities in order to regenerate, some species, like those in the genus Lynchia, can rebuild themselves with nothing more than a fasting arm. Each limb contains the desire for wholeness and the code to bloom into it, redeeming amputation or autotomy into a kind of cloning. Before that process is complete, these single divorced arms are called comets. It's cute, right? Star and comet. The sea star and the orphan arm throb with ghosts. They keep what they need. A language for body, self, acid unravels and forgives. What they stitch, new, full animals, almost the same animal.
Oh my God, my people. That was incredible. Jessica mentioned some of our synchronicity. Our own little story is kind of a love story. Our friendship is of synchronicity. But I knew David from his comedy, and I had followed him on Instagram. He popped up in my feed, and I was like, that guy's fucking funny. And then I was like, whoa, wait, he's in Portland. And then Jessica was like, there's this guy named David Seung who is supposed to be an amazing poet. And I was like, well, wait a minute. This is the same person. Anyway, that was incredible and sort of makes sense that I was like laughing and crying at the same time. So thank you so much. And David's book is coming out in May, so pay attention to that for his launch party, which isn't yet planned, but will be an exciting, really fun event. Hit me up if you need help.
You want Jooyoung to play your part.
My husband's like, don't commit to anything. Our next reader is Kim Thompson, and is part of my Korean adoptee family. I met Kim online when she had first moved to Portland. She was an editor of an online magazine that was doing really cool stuff, and there was a section called Imported Asians, and I was like, that's right, like that's the language. And then I saw her picture, and I was like, oh, she looks really cool, and she's got cool hair. And then, that's true. I don't know if I ever told you that. I was like, oh, this person is hot. We're like siblings, so it's not like that anymore. But Korean confessions. That's true. Kim is an incredible person with like a really, really big heart, and has done really, really amazing things in the Korean adoptee community. Lived in Korea for years, is connected to many really important people in the Korean adoptee community, some of whom are here, and they did amazing things in Korea for adoptee rights. So it's like a total honor to have you here. Kim Thompson, she, her, is a queer Korean American adoptee interdisciplinary artist residing in Portland after 25 years of living in Europe, South Korea, and Minneapolis, Minnesota. She is the recipient of the 2023 Oregon Literary Arts Fellowship and was a featured reader at the 2023 BIPOC Reading Series at Literary Arts. Her essay, Dear Mia, was recently translated and published in, oh, here we go, this is in Korean. All the times I practice, I swear I practice. I'm gonna do it. 자기 자신의 목표자들. I'm a Korean adoptee. You gotta give me credit for trying. In our an anthology of essays by Korean adoptees that is now available in all major bookstores in South Korea. Her previous work on the page and stage has appeared at several artistic venues in Minneapolis, including the Loft Literary Center and the Playwrights Center, in adoptee-centered publications, and various South Korean news outlets like Hankyoreh and the Korean Herald, as well as the feminist journal ILDA. She is currently in the very early stages of working on creating a memoir. Her piece, The Year of the Wood Rabbit, will be appearing in the in-print literary journal Break this autumn. It's out. Please help me welcome Kim Thompson.
Okay, so actually the first thing I wanted to read, I did not write. I thought, it's really important that we have the voice of a white woman in this space. But a very smart white woman. I had wanted to write something about the elections, but all I could write were swear words.
Yeah.
So a very dear friend sent me this piece by Rebecca Solnit that she wrote the night of the election, and I wanted to share this with you. They want you to feel powerless and to surrender and to let them trample everything, and you are not going to let them. You are not giving up, and neither am I. The fact that we cannot save everything does not mean we cannot save anything. And everything we can save is worth saving. You may need to grieve or scream or take time off, but you have a role, no matter what. And right now, good friends and good principles are worth gathering in. Remember what you love. Remember what loves you. Remember in this tide of hate what love is. The pain you feel is because of what you love. The Wobblies used to say, don't mourn, organize. But you can do both at once. And you don't have to organize right away in this moment of furious mourning. You can be heartbroken or furious or both at once. You can scream in your car or on a cliff. You can also get up tomorrow and water the flower pots and call someone who's upset and check your equipment for going forward. A lot of us are going to come under direct attack. And a lot of us are going to resist by building solidarity and sanctuary. So gather up your resources, the metaphysical ones that are heart and soul and care, as well as the practical ones. People kept the faith in the dictatorships of South America in the 1970s and 1980s, in the East Bloc countries in the USSR. Women are protesting right now in Iran, and people there are writing poetry. You can keep walking, whether it's sunny or raining. So take care of yourself. And remember that taking care of something else is an important part of taking care of yourself, because you are interwoven with the 10 trillion things in this single garment of destiny that has been stained and torn, but is still being woven and mended and washed. So this is excerpts from this alleged memoir that I've been working on. And part of this appeared in Brink. So this is The Year of the Wood Rabbit, and part 1. Once upon a time ago, a rabbit, brown as wood and soft as the moon, was born in the early minutes of time when Baekdusan was Taebaeksan and tigers and bears freely roamed, ruling alongside the gods of the heavens. Once upon a time ago, there was a girl born where the Haengyo died for pearls, her appa a military man, her oma a formidable mystery. Like her oma, she was born the eldest daughter of her clan, eventually with 2 younger brothers for whose dreams and ambitions were hers to sacrifice her own for, who she truly wished to be, lost to time, known only by the rabbit, brown as wood and soft as the moon. The rabbit sniffing the salty air of Jeju-do, the girl already had the smell of the future on her. When the girl and her family moved back to her Appa's family home at the foot of the mountain where the ocean carves into the land, the rabbit kept her company as she and her brothers played along the stream, hunting for crickets to roast, stopping to see who could jump the highest and touch the face of the rabbit who lived on the moon. In the evenings, when her parents and brothers were sleeping, the girl would quietly sneak out onto the platform of their hanok, look up at the moon, and tell the listening rabbit all her secrets, whispering sweetly to him, "Tokiya, saranghae." The rabbit, brown as wood, soft as the moon, half grinning, half weeping, ears twitching with the secrets of childhood, loved these moments with the girl, wishing it could always keep her heart so pure, so whole, so unbroken. Once upon a time ago, there was a boy born of Yangban blood, his Appa, whose family name would one day be passed on to his granddaughter, dying young, his Oma, a formidable mystery, his dreams and ambitions to be sacrificed for his Oma's dreams for her first and only son, child, who he truly wished to be, lost to time, known only by the rabbit, brown as wood, soft as the moon. At night, the rabbit would appear to the boy when he was playing in the courtyard of his home, whispering to him of the man he could become, of dreams to dreams and words to write. The boy, born to be a writer, but destined for only the lifelong sorrows of a writer who never lives their purpose. Born of the goodness and kindness of his parents, but now lost in his Oma when his Appa died. The rabbit, sent by the boy's Appa, watched over the boy, who always sensed his presence, pointing at the moon, gleefully exclaiming, "Tokiya!" and then would silently weep for the beauty of the world. The boy, who missed his Appa every day, promised the rabbit how he would one day be an Appa who did not leave. The rabbit, brown as wood, soft as the moon, half grinning, half weeping, ears twitching with the promises of childhood, the future already known. Once upon a time ago, when the girl who had been born where the sea women died for pearls and was raised at the foot of the mountain where the ocean carves into the land was no longer a girl, but instead just barely a woman, she met the boy of Yangban blood, now a young man, eager to make his Oma proud. His own dreams of words written burrowed deep within the place of forget, buried beneath the demands of achieve, surpass, and become. When they met, for a moment, the young man's ambitions were replaced with only one, to spend time with her, because memory is chaste. So much so that he showed up every one of the 6 times she stood him up. Unaware she, like the rabbit, was nearby, just out of sight, watching, amazed and impressed that he never gave up. And so on the 7th, she did not stand him up. She went out with him. And the rabbit, brown as wood, soft as the moon, looked on, half grinning, knowing what was to come, half weeping, knowing what was to come. As to how and when this girl, who was barely a woman, and this firstborn only son fell in love is a secret known only to them and the rabbit that watched over them from its moon burrow, ears twitching. The rabbit, brown as wood, soft as the moon, born in the early minutes of time, kept an ever-watchful eye as the guardian of the future it had smelled in the salty air of Jeju-do when the girl, now barely a woman, was born. How could either of them have known that of their love would be born so much loss, that of their love would come death, the scattering of ashes, the calling and collision of parallel universes? How could either of them have known that though their child would be born of their true love, it was also their true love that would lead to their child's death and replacement with another iteration summoned by a rabbit, brown as wood and soft as the moon, born in the early minutes of time when Baekdu-san was Taebaek-san and tigers and bears freely roamed, ruling alongside the gods of the heavens. Part 2. Kim Jong-ye died the day she was born in the year of the wood rabbit. Her Oma, who was 21 or 22 at the time, when faced with an impossible decision, chose to return herself and Jong-ye to their ancestors, whose ashes mixed with the sediment that was carried by the Han. Sedimentary ashes that over time were washed onto the shores of the city, eventually spilling into forests and up into the mountains and swept into the air and sea, back into the oceans and into other worlds, universes, and dimensions across space and time, mourned over only in secret by a solitary, silently sobbing rabbit, brown as wood, soft as the moon. She didn't mean to take her or her child's lives. At 21, 22, how could this girl, this young Oma, ever know that her decision meant the end of her and her bastard newborn, firstborn child's existence? All she knew at that time was that she wanted to spare them both the complications and pains of trying to find their way together, just the two of them, in a world that she herself was in so many ways still a child of. Some will call it courage and others cowardice, and perhaps it was both or neither. Or perhaps it was the more complicated truth, that to survive is to agree to lose everything. What is certain is that she lacked an applied understanding of Newton's third law, and understandably was not indoctrinated into the white-goosed world of sing-song rhymes about eggs that fall. So how could she know that by signing those papers, by letting the forces exerted by the traffickers of Daehanmingu bloodlines to the west take her child, that she was effectively ending both of their lives? How could she know when there were no funerals held, when there were no family members dressed in white and black hanboks beating their chests, wailing for her death at the death of her infant? How could she know when she found herself walking past what would later become exit 8 for Hapjeong Station, that the girl, the young woman she was now forever gone, that she had just paid survival's price with her and Jongye's lives, so that even if there was a finding, there could be no return, no resurrecting of the dead, no putting back together of all the pieces again. After all, she was walking. She could feel the biting December cold of soul on her cheeks. Surely these signs were proof enough that she was still alive, that she had and would survive. And even though she heard her heart splitting into two as Jongye wailed for her from behind doors, now locked to her, she thought that time would make everything okay. After all, that's what her own Oma, the defier of time, had told her. And as her own Oma had pointed out, who didn't want to grow up in the West? Maybe Jongye would end up with a rich, wealthy family and attend one of those fancy universities, even more prestigious than where Jongye's Yangban-descended Appa had attended. Besides, she told herself, I left my name and address. She'll come to me, and I'll explain. I'll cook for her. Time will make this better. No one having told her that language is the hidden cost that survival bears in the fine print. How could she know that there are some things that even time cannot mend? That for every action in nature, there is an equal and opposite reaction. That sometimes when we break our own hearts, we do so irretrievably, irrevocably, and they can never be put back together again. How could she know that signing those forms was to agree to incinerate herself and her child to ashes, to a dust that would scatter across the city, across oceans and continents, a dust so hauntingly spectre-like that the reincarnation of Kim Jong-ye would spend a seeming lifetime attempting to regather, reclaim, reshape, and respire life into. And Jong-ye? It took her replacement close to 5 decades to begin to embody another complicated, shell-breaking truth, that despite her will, which was as strong, if not stronger, as that of horses and men, the life she had spent all of hers trying to put back together again could not be. That while she was the queerest spitting image of Jong-ye, a byproduct of inhabiting her body since that cold winter's early morning in mid-December when wood rabbits jumped over the moon, that the life lost the day Jong-ye was born, that the ashes and dust Jong-ye and Jong-ye's 21 or 22-year-old Oma had become, could never be regathered, could never be reclaimed, reshaped, respired. That the small shards of bones she had found as she scoured the earth were all that were left of Jong-ye and her Oma, and that those shards might actually just be the remnants of tigers and bears killed off long ago, or maybe from oyster shells trampled upon in Daejeon, or an egg that once fell from a wall, or maybe even the sawdust tears of one silently sobbing rabbit, brown as wood, soft as the moon, ears twitching. How do I ever explain to anyone that while the person sitting here typing this is very much me, the me who is sitting here typing this is actually the parallel universe iteration of the Jooyoung who died the day she was born in the year of the wood rabbit. And when Jooyoung died, somehow, in defiance of space and time, ancestors whispered, half grinning, half weeping, calling to Jooyoung's parallel iteration, me, who was transported from some other universe world to here like sedimentary ashes swept from the oceans into the sea, into the air, onto mountains and down into forests, eventually spilling onto the shores of the city and back into the Han, eventually washed into Daehan Mingu bloodlines, mooned over by rabbits, brown as wood and soft as the moon. How do I ever explain to anyone that the only way I could have ever learned of the death of both Jooyoung and Jooyoung's Oma is by having spent so much of my life trying to put the forever fractured shell of Jooyoung and her, my, Uri, our, Oma's relationship back together again. That only in the attempt of trying to put back together all that had taken such a great fall under the push of forces exerted and the decade and a half or lifetime of failing to fix any of what could not, can never be put back together again, could I finally step into the truth of survival's complicated cost. That I, and only I, could be the one to carry Jooyoung to that doorstep, and that only I could be the one to leave her there. The memory of moons and rabbits ahead of me, our hearts split forever into two, the river Han flowing through.
I'm so honored to have been here tonight. What an incredible night. Yeah, let's do it again. And the next one is in January. And we're having like a bit of a reunion to celebrate our 2nd birthday. Our readers will be Armin Tolentino, our board member, Jay Nasser, who's and Eric Tran. Is there anything else to say? I don't think so.
The bookstore is open.
Oh, the bookstore is
This is
open.
a local small business, queer-owned, ally-owned, like amazing local business.
Yeah, buy some books. For sure. For sure.
We got you.
And don't hesitate, and I know you won't, to talk to tonight's readers about their work. It was so incredible. I will be talking to them for sure. And there's, if you're up for gathering with us upstairs, there's food and drink. And thank you for being here. We hope to see you again. Oh, and for those of you who have been before and are used to putting away the chairs, don't do that this time because they're having a reading here tomorrow morning. So just leave the chairs this time. Thank you.
We're gonna take a lot of wine.